Hi, I'm Ed Parcout, your host of Inner Edison. Today's guest is Steph Shinabery, and I think I got that right. And did I get that right
You
today,
got you
finally?
got you got that right, Ed. Thank
I
you.
get about 90% of them right. I apologize.
That's good.
I do my best. I am a hick from the sticks. Actually, I've been all over. I just back up in the Central Valley of California.
Oh,
So
beautiful.
yeah. So where are you located?
I'm in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Oh,
Mhm.
there you go.
Yeah.
So talk about hicks, huh?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right. So, I mean, a lot of people, my listeners, won't know who you are because, and be honest with you, I didn't know who you were. You were
Sure.
sent to me by another person, and I read your bio, and I thought it would be good to have you on because I think we need more women on these things, talking about their journeys, talking about what they do, talking about different things. And so, why don't you give my listeners a little bit of your background, where you
Sure.
came from, what do you do, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. And again, thanks for having me here. So
Thank you.
I so I have a long history of working in the medical field. I started out as a nurse. I'm a nurse anesthesiologist right now. I've done that for about 15 years. Always wanted to do art. Always wanted to do my own thing and never did. And finally, about 3 years ago, made the jump and just fell in love with marketing. I've always loved to teach and coach, and so the natural next progression was helping people with some kind of expertise to monetize that. So I help coaches and experts unpack their genius into a signature methodology. The bottom line is to enroll their more dream clients.
All right, so break that down for us. That was a great elevator speech.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what you have to have. So when
yeah,
somebody asks you what to do, mine is I build personal wealth through home ownership. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Awesome.
so
So
so I want to go back. Nurse anesthesiologist, right?
yeah,
That took some going to school for and that kind of stuff. And my background, so I understand exactly. I was a corpsman in the Navy. I used to teach at the EMT school. I was a EMT, so I understand the medical side. Plus, my wife is a nurse at Kaiser.
mhm.
That I mean, that's a good living.
It is a good
So
living.
but I mean, a lot of us still want to do more. Like myself,
Yeah,
when I was in the Navy, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to go out and be in business and do different things. And that's where I'm at. So let's unpack that a little bit more. So you're
sure.
anesthesiologist, a nurse,
Yeah.
and you decided you wanted to do this. It took you a little while to figure that out.
Yeah, it took me a long time. I went back to school in my 30s and became an artist. Well, I mean, went to art school. I had always been an artist, but I really wanted to do that as a profession. Of course, that's really kind of hard to figure out how to make good money at that. At least it was at that time. So I went back to school and was never really loved nursing. Just never was, passionate about it. It was a great income. I do love taking care of people. I loved that part of it, but the whole like job part of it, administrative part, I never cared for. I love science, so I went back and got my art degree. Probably the best time of my life. I felt like I was in flow for 2 years and spent all my time in the art studio. When I finished with that, I realized, well, I still have this nursing job that I'm not in love with. I can't figure out how to make enough money to replace my nursing income. So I went into anesthesia, which is kind of like at the pinnacle of, it's an advanced practice nurse. And I'd always loved, the anesthesia part. So I did that, and still though, kind of like you said, we do these things but still not fulfilled, still knowing there was something else that I wanted to do. And I kind of accidentally fell into business. I was doing a network marketing company, and that took me to the marketing side of it. And I'm like, this is so creative, this is so much fun. So I had a lot of fun, like learning marketing, and then just really wanting to help other people that feel stuck in their jobs and know that there's something more out there to help them find a way to make that happen.
So you say you love art, but it sounds to me like it's the creative part that you're using for other people. So it's basically they're your art project. I'm sorry, am
Yeah.
I getting that? Yeah,
No,
that's
no, it's true. It took me a while to even put the 2 together, that what I was doing was a very creative thing. And I think this is one of the reasons that, I help people like all the basic stuff, the ideal client, the marketing, all of that. But my favorite part is actually taking their process or their expertise and putting that into a system or a step-by-step process. So that is very creative, and then the naming of it. And I like to create these visual models that can actually show people, what the system is and where you're taking them. So I just figured this out like several months ago. Like, this is why I'm so drawn to this, because it's such a creative part of it. In all business is creative, but this is just my favorite part.
Well, it's good because we all want to do what we love. Then it's not like
Yeah.
work, right? And
Right.
so, I mean, I always said for myself, my industry, I really enjoyed it. Well, after doing it, I'm not going to say how long, but for a very long time, it's basically the same thing over and over again. You're helping a lot of people, which I really love, helping people get into homes, build personal wealth. But you get to a point where what's next? How could I do this? So all right, so you're helping people and so you're I saw your website. You're a coach. So explain that part. How did that? So you like helping people in their business, but then also you help other coaches, right? Is that what I?
Well, that's just kind of like my niche. So, or that's just my ideal client is are coaches, or like coaches, consultants, experts. It seems to be mostly that I work with coaches, like life coaches, spiritual coaches, transformational coaches, who know how to coach and get people results, but they may not know how to do marketing. Most of them don't know marketing. They don't know how to like do put content out on the internet that are the social media that actually attracts people to them. So working with that, but really the first thing is getting their message clear, which is really, what are you doing for your client? What steps are you taking them through? And really that's where your message comes from, your content comes from. And but I have worked with some people that aren't necessarily coaches,
Mhm.
but they have an expertise that they're using, and actually putting that into a system and branding that so that it actually stands out.
All right. So basically, I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah,
Basically, you're helping. So if somebody like myself there's certain things I do real well, and
right.
you come in and take over the things that they don't do real well. They sit and talk to clients or whatever they do. You take over the other branding part of that. Is what I'm hearing. What you do.
Yeah,
There's certain.
sort of a little bit, Ed.
I'm sorry.
Say
I'm a little slow. I
no,
guess.
no, you're not. Actually, this is very good. If it's not landing, it means I'm not explaining it very well. So a lot of coaches know how to get. They've been doing it a while. They
Right.
know actually how to do it, but they're doing it unconsciously. So to take what they're doing and make it marketable,
No.
they need to be able to say, we take you through these series of steps. Once they have it broken down into a system, they're not really changing anything they're doing. They're just putting it into a roadmap. Like, I call it the problem to promise roadmap. So the problem that the person has to the promise, where you're taking that, we break it down into a step-by-step system. Once they have that, they have a name for each step. They are able to talk on sales calls in marketing more clearly about their program. They have more conviction about their program. It elevates the value of their program, and also as they continue to talk about these steps and the name of their program, they indoctrinate their audience into what they're doing. So
So you basically, I want to you help them create a system that systematize how they do it so that it's in a process for them, because they do it automatically, but they don't have it down in a, this is how I do it from step one, step two, step three. Is that
right.
correct? Is that what I'm
Right,
hearing? All
right.
right.
So
So
that way,
you
yeah, they can take it then and put it in a course or whatever. But if it's all up in their head, it's kind of hard to
right,
organize it all.
right. So you get it out of their head into a system, into a course, whatever it is they're doing to help them grow their business by helping them with that part. Right.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'd get there
Yeah.
eventually.
No,
Um,
you're good.
all right. So you do that now. Is that what you love to do? Is that what you're really passionate about?
That that is the favorite part of what I do. I think really talking to people, talking them through this, actually, that they end up discovering that what they have is way more than what they think they have. Usually, as we go through, they're like, "Oh, I didn't even realize I really did that." Because looking at it from like a marketing mind, I think a lot of stuff gets revealed. I have been toying with the idea of trying to do this for artists. So with their art. I'm not sure how that would work, but that's just kind of like a passion project that's on the back burner.
Right. All right. So I read on your website, you say that you use a 3-stage process. Is that what
Yeah.
you're doing? So you want to
So
go into that a little bit?
sure,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. So I have a program that's called Add Awesome Clients, and it's basically a 9-step program where we start with a really I call it so the first stage is align, the second stage is design, and the third stage is deliver. So it's aligning with what you're actually passionate about and good at. Like this is why I do this. So many people, including my whole life, is I went on this path, one path to make money, and the other path was my passion. And so I'm on these two divergent paths. And when I started out in business, I started doing the same thing. I started going after, okay, affiliate marketing, I can make money at that. I mean, that's great. It's how I learned to do this. But at one point I was burned out. I was like, what am I doing? I'm just doing another job that I'm not just, crazy about. And so really sitting down and what kind of life do I want to live? What are my values? I wanted to bring my values into what I do. And so really aligning with that. Once you do that, also just knowing who it is that lights you up that you work with. A lot of coaches will take clients on that drain them of energy. We spend a lot of time with our clients, and we should be working with people that give us energy, that light us up. And so, figuring out who it is you want to work with. So alignment,
All right.
and
So
then
let's start the alignment. Is that so? Basically, you're just sitting down, figuring out who your client you want, the client you want, right?
that's a lot of it is who the client you want, but also what it is that lights you up in your business. Let's focus on your genius, what it is that you want to do. And
Is
then
is that like a process? You sit down with them, you spend out. I mean, so I'm trying to
yeah, I do
break out your
actually.
three. You
Yeah,
gave me three things, and
yep,
so I don't want to just get
sure.
through them in 2 minutes and say have a
No,
nice day. I
I
want my
don't.
clients to understand the process. So in
Yeah,
the first part,
absolutely.
align. That would be okay. You told us what you're trying to do. How do you get them to align?
So here's the three. There's three steps, and each one of those has another like layer into it.
Right.
So the first step is align before you design. So basically, we're getting what you want to do, your genius, where you want
Mhm.
to take your business. The second step is what is the big problem, or what is the big problem that you solve that your market has. What is the big promise of your program? So just getting like the anchor points of where they're starting and where you're taking them. And the third one is really dialing in who that ideal client is, or that dream client that you want to work with, and really getting that figured out. And that's, a lot of market research, and it's figuring out the problems that they have in their language. Okay. So that's a problem that a lot of newer coaches, especially even some coaches that have been doing this a while, they'll start talking about the problem it's kind of like in medicine. Your wife would totally understand that when you're talking to a patient and you're talking about the problem, like uh, a kidney problem or whatever. You've got to put it in lay terms,
Right.
because your client, the prospect, is not as far along as you are. So really, in their language, the things that keep them up at night. So that's the first stage.
All right, and let's stay there for 1 second.
Okay.
So basically, that would work for everybody. Because I'm
That
thinking, okay, in my industry, as if they have a loan officer who's trying to figure out that, they never figure that out. They take whatever comes to them, right? They
Yeah,
don't. They like and I try to explain to people, rich, and I don't mean to come off wrong here, but riches are in the niches, right? So
yeah,
basically, the more you boil down, here to help these people, the more we'll send you those people only. So that's
right,
basically what I'm hearing from you. Your first
yeah,
step is let's find out who the ideal client is, so that you're happy, and when you go forward with the right people that you want to help.
right.
And so when I say this, and you say you help coaches and experts, I think there's another market here that you could go after in other places that need the same thing. Anybody who deals with clients, whatever that level is, could be
It's true.
attorneys, any of accountants, any of those people,
It
right?
is it is true. It's true, and I think part of it is like, yeah, I could market to everyone, but then, they may not hear me. They may wanna work with other attorneys. I know that that does happen a lot of times. People fall into, like, groups that they aren't advertising for. Because here's what happens, and this is something I talk about a lot. So many people get so hung up on, like, I don't know who my ideal client is, I don't know who my niche is, and they just stop and they stay stuck. So here's what you know. If you know how to solve a problem, talk about that problem. If you can talk about the problem, the people that have the problem are going to hear you talking about the problem. So I may say coaches and experts, consultants, whatever, if they hear me talking about the problem and they have the problem and I have a solution, then they're might be drawn to me.
And that's all I'm saying is basically this, what your system that you've come up with, right, that you utilize can be used in many different places, right? Not that
Absolutely.
because you already found your ideal client. I'm not saying for you to go get a loan
Yeah.
officer, not to go get
Yeah.
an attorney, but I'm just saying this could be used to help anybody right now that's listening, that has this, that they need to find out their perfect client,
Yeah.
utilizing your first stage by figuring this out. I'm not trying to take that away from you,
No,
because
I
we
know.
want to get your ideal client anyway.
Right.
So, right.
Right. No, I totally agree. It could definitely be used. I mean, this could be used in any niche. I feel like the whole system can be
Right.
used, and it'll probably, there's going to be. It's just the way, the way I do it, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out there that do it, have similar, methodology. So
All right. So, all right, I'm done with that stuff. Let's go to the next
okay,
one. I'm
okay.
sorry. I
So
just wanted to go deeper so I understood and the
no,
listeners understood, and that they could utilize this for themselves if that's what they're doing.
right.
So,
And so the next part of it is the actual, so the next phase or stage is design, and that's 3 steps. And the first one of those is actually creating your it's called a lot of different things: your signature offer, your signature methodology, your unique roadmap, the thing that is your process that you take your clients through, that's unique to you. And so it's point A is the problem, and point B is the promise of where you're taking them. And so you have, like, everything that they need to get the result that you're promising. That's what you put in that roadmap. And it should be like a stage, how every stage, like, this is my roadmap that we're talking about.
right.
So that's what they're going to create.
Okay. And that's the whole second stage, right?
That's the
Did we hit
first.
every part, or the first part of the
Yeah, so
second stage, right? Okay.
that's really that's actually the biggest part of that.
Right.
The second part is taking each of those steps and starting to create, like, what I call hooks, or um, like the message of each state. So starting to get the language and the message that you can then take into your offer, into your marketing. And so you've really done most of the work in that fourth step, and then you're going to take that out and just pull that language out. And then the last step in that stage is actually creating your signature offer, that what all is going to be in your package that you're selling.
Gotcha. And now with that process, what does the average person take to figure that out? Is there, like, it takes them,
So the offer
I mean,
doesn't really. Oh, you mean the
yeah,
whole
that's
thing?
that section, because you're sitting in the first section is finding your ideal client and understanding who you want to be with.
Right,
And the next one is, what is that offer to those people, right? How you
right,
figuring out how to talk to them and communicate with them.
right.
If I'm wrong, just tell me I'm wrong. Um, and then so through that process, I think most people have a problem figuring that out, right? Because they don't ever do it. Most people never do the first one, definitely never do the second one. I'm sure they'll never do the third one unless somebody like yourself's there to guide them along the way. So in that process, if you're helping somebody, is that like a week process, sometimes a month
Yeah.
process?
So typically, if if they really know how to get people results, they can. I just basically just start at the end point and start reverse engineering that. And I actually have a process that I take them through, like templates and stuff like that. And then we typically, kind of like give them homework, and then we meet. I've done this with this part of it, the actual roadmap, in like 90 minutes with people.
Okay.
So it usually, what'll happen though is that's kind of like the basic, and then they go work on it and they just keep refining it as they go along. So that part of it, then the messaging really comes from that part. That having that in line, that is really just kind of like marketing language. Usually, a lot of them will need some help with that, and then the offer, really, it's a matter of deciding how long is it going to take me to get them this result. Am I going to include some other bonuses that'll help them get the result? What kind of price? Those kinds of things that go into, an offer. They don't necessarily take that long. It's really a matter of, making some decisions.
Right. Figuring it. Right.
Yeah,
And I can see that because, I mean, if we were going through the process, I know a lot of that. It's just a matter of narrowing it down and not being too much of a perfectionist to release
exactly.
it and say, this is where it is. No, I need to no, just let it go and
Right,
move on let's go to the
right.
next step. Right. I'm
So,
not saying, no, it's just my
yeah.
statement
Oh,
is, that's
I.
okay. Let's get that done. Let's go to the
Yeah,
next step,
yeah.
please.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Not you go to the
Yeah,
next step,
I
please.
got you. I love it.
All right. Now you can go to the next step.
Okay,
What's the
now
next
he okay. So
step?
the last phase is deliver, and it is basically where you're starting to deliver content. And so once you have, like, so many people on, like, I don't know if you really post much on social media, but like coaches and people that are trying to like use social media to attract people through them through like attraction marketing, they're always like, I don't know what to post. I don't know. I have no idea. It's always like this struggle. And once you have like a roadmap of, the how you're getting people through, that's where all your content lives. It's a step by step. You just pick something out every day, and then you have your messaging already from all of that design stage, the stage before. And so you're just talking about like the pain points and the problem. And so I call that stage kick-ass marketing, and it's really stands it's kick-ass content machine, something like that. I can't remember right now, but it's keep interesting content coming, attract, serve, and sell. So basically, through your content, you're attracting your ideal client and you're serving them, and then eventually you can sell to them through that content.
Gotcha. So, I mean, and that is your roadmap pretty much
That's
right there.
the
That's how you
last
get
two. Yeah, the last two steps in that stage are sales. So getting people like on sales calls and kind of how to take them through the sales calls. I'm no sales expert, but I do know, kind of like the roadmap, and then delivery. Like, how do you onboard people? How do you keep people, engaged in your program? How do you send them with you to the next level? So kind of like how to deliver your program.
I mean, it sounds so easy, but I know people don't really think through that process, right? The three step that you just, I mean, the whole
Yeah,
three step, right?
right.
Not the nine step. I understand,
Yeah,
but I'm just saying the group of them together. Most people don't even think about um, that part. I mean, they don't think about the first part. Then if they do think about the first, they never really think about the second, and they, they might happily fall into the third. Because as a business owner, it's because I had another gentleman on another podcast, and we were talking about it. As a business owner, it's real easy to start businesses, get them going, but to scale them and to do the other stuff, that is not what your forte is. I learned a long time ago, my best forte is speaking to people. When I used to sell through the phone, I guess I have a good voice that worked really well on the phone, it served me well as it is right now, I guess, on
yeah,
podcasts and radio. So you have to find out what you're good at and then do that. So in my business, I only talk to people.
that's
Everything
awesome.
else I have other people to do because they can do it better than me because I can do it all, done it all.
Yeah,
I don't want to do it all.
right,
Right.
right. You want to stay in your zone of genius for sure.
Right. Well,
Yeah,
thank you. I don't know if I'm
yeah.
a genius, but I want to stay in my zone. Uh, so, all right. So we went through that process. Anything else you want to add? Anything else that you look at did we miss anything?
I think the thing that I didn't really talk about that's part of that whole process is this goes back to my favorite part, is back to the road, creating that roadmap. Is you can take it to different levels. So like if you can name each step that's unique to your step, and you start speaking about, oh, that's my step, like I have a name for every step. And so when I'm talking about this, people go, oh, she's got to process their name, their trademark, you can trademark them, you can register them. So this elevates, kind of like elevates you as an expert in the market, in your space. And plus it's just fun to have like unique names for everything. so
Right.
so that's
Well,
that's one of that's part of the process.
and also you're branding that you're the
Your
person
brand.
who has that. Nobody else has the same stuff. They can't
Exactly.
utilize it. A lot of companies that we know out there that, they make up names, or
Right.
they add, this is only at this company, which it's the same program, that somebody else can do, but they just renamed it something else so that they could say it's the only program they have. They have that program, nobody else
Right.
does.
Right.
So it's a great way to do that. I've seen that in a lot of the marketing and a lot of stuff that we do in our industry and other stuff I've seen. So that's an excellent idea. And I think everybody who's listening should definitely look into doing these steps for what their
Yeah.
business is and what they're doing. And because you don't help everybody. So
Yeah, I
you
don't.
just did, but you
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
did through
Right.
here, you are
Right.
helping everybody. So
That's
be
good.
careful. And now, so your perfect client is what? So if somebody's listening and they're your
Well,
perfect
so
client.
so I mostly work with coaches, but I have worked with people that have like an expertise and they want to put it into a roadmap or a framework. So I do help people do that. But that coaches are just the people that I have typically been working with.
So if somebody want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
So probably so you can email me at steph@stephshinabery.com. You can find me on my profile on Facebook. That's where I hang out mostly, is just Steph Shinabery. That's with one R. I do have a website that's kind of like still in progress. It's kind of like somebody's working on that. I don't really focus a lot on websites. People just kept asking me for one when I was on
Right.
podcasts and all this stuff. And so I just had one done and I haven't really, but you can get a hold of me there too. So.
Right. And then, by the way, if you want to spell that, is Shinabery is her last name to find her. Instagram, I assume.
Yeah, Instagram, same thing, Steph
Yeah.
Shinabery.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you can go there, give her a message out to her that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're hanging out on Clubhouse, I love to hang out over there. Come hang out with me on Clubhouse. Get in a
Where are
room
you
and
on?
talk.
Are you in Clubhouse
It's
all the time?
no, it's what when I first started on the app, I was like, "Oh my god, this is the coolest thing." I was just hanging out all the time, and I'm
Right.
like, "I got to go to work." So
I
I have been limiting myself to a little bit of time on the weekends and and maybe once or twice in the evenings, depending on if I've got friends that want to do a room or something. We'll get in there, but yeah. So
There's one you should try out, and I don't have to edit it, but because that's the same thing with me. With Clubhouse first came out, I was on it, notifications. I
yeah,
finally turned all that off,
me too.
and I only go to a couple different things because there's 3 guys who do about podcasts, and they do it morning, noon, and night. They do rooms, and they help each other out. They've been doing it since it started, and anything and everything you want to know about how to start a podcast, how to fix equipment, whatever they talk about. So there's been a lot of stuff when I was setting up that I needed to know, and I went to them for that. So Tanner, Roman, and I forget the other guy's name. But on Fridays, this is for you because you're a coach's coach kind of thing. At 7 a.m. Pacific time, there's a room that's with, and bear with, I'm not dropping names, but I've all had them on my podcast. It is Justin Breen. It is Dr. Jeff Spencer and Nick Peterson. They have a room and they talk about a lot of stuff. They're all coaches and they have a bunch of coaches in there. And I told him the other day, he says, Jeff was on my podcast. And I said, when I go in that room, it's the only place I go that I feel stupid. Right. Yeah. Cause it's like, cause they talk about it so great, so big,
Right.
like, if I want to get from here to here, I go from here to here. They talk, oh, if you have a GPS and then you look at this thing and then you look,
Yeah.
and I mean, so they look
Yeah.
at it at a larger, and they make you think. And what's nice about that, and I like going there because they, what is your gift? What is this? Each week they have you come in and talk about different things so that you think about it. So
I'll have to
um,
check that out. What's the name of the room? I heard your
they're
interview with Jeff. Was it the Breen?
Justin Breen,
Justin Breen.
but that was before Clubhouse existed, right? So
Oh, okay.
the
Okay.
Clubhouse, yeah. So just recently, I've done Nick Peterson and Dr. Jeff Spencer, and they won't be coming out for a little bit. But I mean, just this week I did Dr. Jeff. So just going there. I don't know the name of the room. I would just tell
Okay.
you at Pacific time, 7 a.m. You just go on there. You'll see those 3 names in a room,
Okay.
and because I don't even know what it's called. I just know that they set it up and they're there every week, and I just go there. I just go to the side where they are, and I click
Yeah.
on them, and I go in there. So that's
I'll follow you, and that way
there you
I'll be
go.
able to find them.
Right.
So
So I mean,
yeah.
and I, and that's another thing is there's a lot of stuff out there to help us, just like you
Mhm.
went through these steps. They're amazing steps. And, but you can't get caught up in a lot of the stuff, the
Right.
noise. There's a lot of people on on that group that we talked about, that place, not the one I want you to go to, but the other stuff, that just talk about how great they are on stages and how
Oh,
great,
I
what I mean, they want
know.
to hear themselves speak. And some of them are some of the supposedly the greatest people out there, and they're
And
like, shut up. I'm
and they
sorry.
want you to follow every single I can't go follow every single person in every single room every time I go into a room. You guys need to be following everyone. I I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
I
because
just
they want to get their numbers up. So the
right.
algorithms and the other stuff, because
Yeah.
it's still only on Apple. So that's the problem.
Right.
All
Right.
right. So enough
So,
about everybody else, and
yeah.
let's get back to you. All right. So I noticed that you have a book. Did you
I
write a book?
do, I do. This was so much fun. I actually have a podcast. It's Authority Marketing Edge, and last year, the Tam Luke, the woman who put this book together, this is the second book in the series, asked me to interview all these women, and it was an amazing experience of doing some amazing things. And this last year, she asked me to actually be in the book, and so a total of like 15 women, I think 15 or 16 women. It's women who boss up. Secrets from women owning their health wellness for a lifestyle they love. A really long name. I just call it the Women Who Boss Up book. There's another one out though. So mine's the health and wellness one. A lot of fun. I actually talk a lot about my story. Something I haven't really mentioned here is I'm in recovery. I spent a big portion of my life drinking myself to death, and I think I talk a little bit about that and kind of overcoming that and kind of becoming a personal development junkie and that kind of stuff. So share a little bit about that in the book.
See, and that's what you should have talked about here, because we're all about those things that happen in our life to make us better, right? You overcame that. Now look what you're doing. You're helping people. You come up with systems to help people
Right.
fix things. And so, um, a lot of people have those things. I have a ton of stuff in my life I'm not going to talk about right now. That
Yeah, we
I do.
all do.
I've talked about the fact that I lost my dad at the age of 12. Hairy
Oh
cell
wow.
leukemia. Agent Orange, and that changes you as a person, because you either grow up real quick or you are a derelict. I actually
Mhm.
grew up real quick, so I've always been old. And so it's been, that changed how I've always thought I was 40, even when I was 8. You know what I mean? It's just, you
Right.
have that mentality because you don't have a choice.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff that you have to come along the way that you have to deal with, that a lot of people don't deal with.
Right.
And I'm glad that you're dealing with what you had, what you talked about there real quick. And thanks for sharing that with us. I really
Yep.
appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Steph, is there anything else you want to add today?
Oh, you know what? I think I talked a lot. It feels like come find me on Facebook. Even if you're not a coach or like, I just love meeting people for one thing. I'm a big people person. But if you do have questions about like developing your roadmap, like getting your own secret sauce into a package and putting it out there, I love. I mean, I'll talk to you about that and anything else you want to talk about, pretty much. So.
Well, there you go. So now you watch out. So now you're going to fill up with emails. They're going to Instagram. They're going to find you. They're going to
That's
find you
right.
on Clubhouse. They're going to ask you all these questions. And I don't know if you do a room there, but you should, talking about the steps. You should
Yeah,
have a room each week. You should talk about that. So and go through each step each week to bring people back.
I do
You
need
know,
to do that.
yeah.
I need to
Because
do
that
that.
would be really good. Because a lot of these rooms are just really bad. So,
Yeah, that's a great idea. I have thought about starting a room, and I'm like, I'm not exactly sure, but that's a great idea. I should do
yeah,
that.
I mean, just do it.
Yeah,
I mean, for
yeah,
me,
just do it.
and
Yeah,
yeah, just do it. Don't even
yeah,
think. You just, figure out your perfect client. I'm just kidding.
right. Go
Go through
back to
your
step
process.
one. Go to
Yeah, go to step
go to step
one,
one.
and then put your roadmap together at the
That's
end there.
right.
So you go through Clubhouse or
That's
whatever you
right.
want to do. So I appreciate you being on here today. Thank you so much for showing up.
Thank you so much, Ed. Appreciate it.